My wife told me earlier today, you came up ready to go, angry, looking for a fight. See, what I didn't understand from her statement is that sometimes I'm not aware with the amount of stress that I take on as an entrepreneur that I end up taking that out on everybody that's around me. And it led me to wonder and talk to our strategic partners today on mental health and entrepreneurship. And the interesting facts that I got to find out were fascinating, such as 72% of entrepreneurs deal with mental health and suffer from it big time. This is the ME Show.
Drinks on me, girls on me, on the dance floor, all eyes on me. Who busy? Then you better come get your girl dog. All eyes on me, party like a rock star. You can find me in VIP. All eyes on me, yeah, where the girls are. This is how your night should be. All eyes on me,
all eyes on the prize, money supersized. G5 super fly, should be supervised. Do or die, open up your eyes, head to the sky. Keep a mean bad mommy on the side. Make a tsunami, kamikaze on the mind. Spit flow, paparazzi flash shine. Get dough, champagne, Merlot. Cash and tango, in the VIP. Now she wanna touch her ankle. Get low, mueve mami como el dembow. All eyes on me, peeping through the window. Get mine, get yours, believe it or not. In the meantime, I'ma keep my eyes on the
all
top.
eyes on me, drinks on me, girls on me, on the dance floor. All eyes on me, who busy? Man, you better come get your girl dog. All eyes on me, party like a rock star. You can find me in VIP. All eyes on me, yeah, where the girls are. This is how your night should be.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a brand new installment of your Strategic Partner Show live recording session. And you already know I got the one and only Ali D from Florida. I got the one and only Debbie Simons, also from Florida. And the man you love all day, every day, the one and only Tokoyo Carlton from North Carolina. And we are your strategic partners. And this is a live recording session. And you want to stick with us throughout the whole session for many reasons. One of them, one lucky person is going to be featured on this segment as we are recording. We want to hear from you. And today we're talking about mental health as an entrepreneur. I know you understand the pressure that it comes with it, especially at a starting phase, especially at the drought, as I like to call it. Many people don't understand the amount of stress that it comes with it. And if you do, well, we want to talk to you about it. First and foremost, strategic partners, why don't you go around and say what's up? Let's start with Ali, D, Debbie, and then Tokoyo. Tell them what's up.
Hey, everybody. So happy to be here and talk with you about this really important topic today.
Right on.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Yeah, this is not just an important topic. Like, this is the important topic, right? So stoked to be here tonight, you guys.
Right on. Tokoyo.
Absolutely. Tokoyo Carlton here. I'm super excited because this has affected me personally, as I can believe that all four of us had some form of this in our careers. And so, I look forward to getting into this.
And if you are an entrepreneur, wherever you may be connected, wherever you be listening, let us know. Hit us up. Talk to us in the comments. And you can definitely text right now, 732-455-2570, and be part of the conversation. And you never know, we may even include you in today's session. So feel free to hit us up. Feel free to talk to us in those comments because we want to hear from you as an entrepreneur. Do you know, or are you yourself, or have you ever dealt with or suffered from mental health and entrepreneurship? Do you even know what the symptoms are? And I'll tell you for myself, I can be an angry monster sometimes if things don't work out the way I want them to, right? And I can tell you for myself, many times in 14 years, man, I've dealt with so many, like just people that just ticked me off, right? Entrepreneurs that I thought were the right people in my life and took advantage of me. Companies that were going all the way to the top. I remember 2014, actually in 2015, Tokoyo, you know this very well. We were in North American Power. And the VP of the company shows me my projections for 2015. And he's like, you're going to be a millionaire. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. And then in January 6th of 2015, the company sold. Now, I'll let you imagine how that felt. Talk about angry. That was the first time that I was in Peak Valley. and then crash and burn immediately. And then the second time it happened with a company called Vima, built it in 6 different countries. And then the FTC is like, yeah, we're going to shut this baby boy down, right? And I'm going through the embarrassment back to back 2 times in a row. And then I'll go and do another energy company called IDT Energy. And you remember Tokoyo, right? I built it from scratch and it became a ridiculous growing thing. And then they just started grabbing stuff that they shouldn't have from the wrong places and the wrong people. And then I said, like, the heck with network marketing. I'm done. I'm never going to get into it ever again. And I just, you talk about the ups and downs, and it impacted my personal life. It impacted my marriage. My marriage almost fell apart in 2013 to 2014, and it was predominantly because of business. And I had a lot of amount of stress that came with it. So I want to have this conversation with you today. And of course, if you are an entrepreneur, this is a relevant conversation for you. So any of our strategic partners, whomever want to chime in on entrepreneurship and mental health.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Tokoyo.
No. Ladies first, always.
When I heard we were doing this topic, I was like, this is really big for me. I mean, like we said, we've all dealt with anxiety or the mental health issue with working so hard as an entrepreneur. But this really hit home for me because for me as an entrepreneur, I go through burnout like really easy because I am always trying to like keep up. And on top of that, I'm a mom of 4 kids. When I've started this entrepreneur journey, I've also been working like a 9-to-5 job. I've been in college. So you add all those things up and I stopped taking care of myself and my needs because it was just one thing after another that I needed to do. And I found myself always trying to keep up with those that were above me or had something that I wanted, right? That were my leaders. And I just kept wanting to catch up. And that can be great as motivation and to keep you going. But if you're not careful and you don't watch yourself, you're going to fall into a burnout mode where you're going to be so overexhausted. I wasn't sleeping as much as I should have. I wasn't eating right. And so when you're not doing those things, you're like working even harder because you're running on fumes, trying to make things sound right and try to function with a, sleep deprived brain. And that's really hard to do. And that really takes a toll on you. So that meant a lot to me to talk about that you have to stay in tune with yourself. And when you need to rest, it's okay to rest. And it's okay to not be where everyone else is at, right? You have to work at a pace that is healthy for you, or else you'll end up burnout and not achieve anything.
Tokoyo.
Good stuff. And let me go ahead and jump in real quick too, because, you all know I went through some medical situation with a heart transplant, the LVAD, and all this stuff back in 2017. And prior to that, I had got to a point where, again, multiple companies that we were a part of, you kind of put your blood, sweat, and tears in there. And you build relationships, and you talk about trust, and you talk about we're going to be with this thing forever. And so when you're building from a leadership position where people are looking up to you, it puts so much pressure on you, especially when the company doesn't do what the company's supposed to do, but everyone's looking, all eyes are on you. And so again, I went through that. And of course, it's the explaining, it's the answering questions. And you guys know that. Y'all been through that here recently, as we all have. And so it's a little, challenging a little bit to go through something like that and really have to just, hey, I had everything over here. I promised my kids this, and I said we would do this. I said we were going over here. And then it's kind of like you're letting all these people down. And of course, as entrepreneurs, we're heavy into personal development. So a lot of times we've got that tough skin. And that's one of the things that's very, very scary in our field as an entrepreneur, because we protected ourselves against the minor stuff, the little stuff. But that little stuff starts to become a big hill. And as we used to say in a previous business, you're sweeping things up under the rug, and then eventually you trip over that rug. And so that's what we find a lot over here, because stuff just builds up, and you're being positive, and you're being that light for everyone in your organization, your teams, your business, your employees, you name it. You're being that light for that person. And of course, no one's the light for you. No one's calling you to say, hey, how are you doing? Right? No one's picking up on the signs that you're having issues, that that, hey, maybe I need someone to call me and say, hey, listen, man, you all right? Hey, can I do something for you? Can I relieve a little bit of this stress from you? Right? And not just not saying stress, but hey, can I do a little bit for you so you don't have to do as much? Right? And so those are the things that we're challenged, because as leaders in the industry of home-based business, we're supposed to do and know everything, right? We're supposed to be able to answer everything, all this stuff. And so it's just very, very, very hard for someone sometimes when you come home late at night and no one's around and you start to cry, right? Or you start to think, is this really worth it?
I got to tell you a whole lot about that crying time. Man, I've had a bunch of those. Man, let me keep it real with you, Tokoyo. In the second or third week of January, on a Sunday, as you all know, my wife was in Colombia at the time, and I'm sitting on the couch by myself. And Sebastian, 4.5-year-old, out of nowhere, it just comes in front of me. He's like, "Papa, you look sad." And I mean, it just tore me in pieces. And I just started crying, like just literally crying. And he comes out of nowhere and he's like, "That's okay, Papa. I will clean the whole house." He put all of his toys everywhere. He didn't clean the house. He ruined it. But in his mind, he was organizing, the house for me. And it was just fascinating, on hearing you on saying that. We're going to hear from Debbie in a second. And I definitely want to hear from Debbie, because she'll tell you a little bit about her background and why she knows a thing or two about this space specifically, but just some fun facts. And not fun, they're actually scary facts. But according to a study at UC Berkeley, 72% of entrepreneurs in a sample self-reported mental health showed that they were significantly more likely to report a lifetime history of depression, 30% of them, that is. ADHD, 29% of them. Substance use conditions, 12%, and bipolar diagnosis, 11%. I mean, when you hear that, you think of an entrepreneur, you think positive, right? You think great, you think innovator, you think a motivator. But in many cases, we're taking so much from the world, right? We're taking people's problems and people's negativity and pouring or emptying our tank of positivity onto the world, that sometimes we're left with nothing. Debbie, you're nodding your head. Talk to us.
Well, first of all, oh man, this is a huge topic, and I can echo what all three of you guys have said. And just so you know, mid-January, I kind of had the same situation you did. I don't have any young children around to kind of look at me and say I went sad, but I had a 26-year-old that said to me after day 3, "Are you going to get out of bed?" Right? Because I literally curled up in my bed and cried for just about 3 days. Now, that sounds really sad and that sounds really scary. But here's what I tell you is I've been working in this field as a psychologist since 1985. And then I've been an entrepreneur for well over 30 years. And I'm going to tell you, I have ridden that roller coaster up and down and sideways and tipped over and wow. And so my actual mission, which started for myself, and now I do that in my coaching, I call my business Affluence Plus, because we have to have balance for mental health, right? So we have to focus on our spiritual, our emotional, our physical, and our financial. And I'm going to tell you right now, Ali can attest to this, I can get out of whack that quick. Because see, as entrepreneurs, like, we're kind of looked at as like heroes, right? We're heroes. We can do it all. We've got the thick skin, like Tokoyo said. We've worked hard at the personal growth to kind of put the blinders on and keep going and work hard and be resilient and push through. There's a flip side to that, of which I am an active participant, and that's being a workaholic, right? My motto, team no sleep, okay? And for a long time, I thought that was the way you had to be an entrepreneur. And I can slip right back into it when I'm all in and passionate about a project. But it catches up to me, the burnout that Ali's talking about. Oh my gosh, that burnout will hit because you can't sustain that inevitably without damaging another part of your life. You can't. You can't work 7 days a week. You know, I was working 18 hours a day. You can't do that and not let your family slip. not let your other relationship slip, your health slip, your self-care. There's not enough hours when you're working like that. So one of the reasons I love this topic is because there is a way to keep yourself in check, right? There is a way to keep yourself in check with it. So this is just super great, you guys.
And by the way, shameless plug. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Influencer Attraction Media members only, we have Miss Debbie Salmons, who is going to be giving a full 45-minute training on setting up the right expectation for you as an entrepreneur, understanding that roller coaster, not motivating you and telling you all the punchlines you've ever heard, but strategically and specifically telling you exactly how to put yourself in a winning position, because it can and it will be stressful at times. There's a guarantee onto that. The interesting thing, continuing on this article, many times those entrepreneurs who we talked about, the 72%, right? They already have had some kind of hereditary family member that passed on those symptoms, if you will, to them. But it was the stress that came from entrepreneurship that activated it, right? That really get the person to show that side of, where they are. And I can tell you, for me, man, God blessed me with an interesting life full of like crazy angry monsters. And I can see it every now and then. And, you continually try to work on it. But at times, and to your point, Debbie, talking about, the workaholic, sometimes we tend to do everything to just get busy with an entrepreneurship activity, just so we don't actually deal with the real stress, with the abuse or whatever it is. You guys are not in Ali D or Tokoyo. You care to add something?
No, I can totally relate to what you're talking about. But if I may, I wanted to add.
Wait, hold on. This is so interesting. I love how, hey, Ali D, would you care to add something? No, but I would like to add.
I don't want to add something to what you were saying. This is something I did last time. I was like, tagging along, but on a totally different topic.
Yeah.
But for mental health, though, not just do we like give so much of ourselves and we wear ourselves down and we become workaholics, but I think there's a lot of mental health issues within entrepreneurs because we are comparing ourselves to those we are striving to be, or we're comparing ourselves to where others are that we want to be at, and comparing ourselves to successful people that we consider successful. And that alone can be very draining on your mental health, feeling like you're not good enough. Someone on here, used to really help me through that. And I would really beat myself up and I'm not worth this. I'm not capable of this. And he told me to look in the mirror, right? To look in the mirror and remind myself of who I am, where I've come from, what I'm capable of. And that's really important to have people in your life that can bring you up, and for you to then gain the tools to bring yourself up, because sometimes there's no one there. Sometimes that happens. So have the tools to bring yourself up and stop comparing yourself to others, because that's detrimental to your mental health.
Absolutely.
Comparitis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's huge. And you saw how I paused when you asked for someone, the next person, because I was like, because Ali always get ready to speak, and I was like, I had to pause, so I didn't have to say ladies first.
You good, man? I love you.
All right, so that's the whole thing too. When we talk about mental stress or mental health, it's okay to laugh. It's okay to smile. It's okay to enjoy yourself. And I think, like for me, let me just, because I can only speak for me, right? I know for me, it's very, very hard to be around, I don't know about you guys. Like when you start getting involved in this industry and you've had a bit of success and like I said, you got the personal development done and you've grown, right? And then you get around your friends, you get around your family members, and it's hard to have the same conversation because all day you're dealing with people who talk the same talk you talk. And so for me, my family suffered, the relationship I had with them, because we were close. We've always been close, but still close. But the conversation has changed. The lack of conversation has changed because it's harder for me because I'm so dialed in on personal development and things of that nature, it's hard to have a conversation with some of the people that I know, right? Because this business does allow you to grow and become a better version of yourself. And sadly, some of the people around you aren't growing. And so that's a challenge. That's an area that I struggle with. My family, my sister, my only sister, I love her. But being around her because we don't speak the same language, right? It's stressful for me because I want to have that relationship with her. And so again, because I'm always driving, she'll be like, hey, there's an event coming up. And I'll be like, I can't. I got some things going on, right? I've got some things that are pressing that I have to do. And it's like they don't understand that. It's like I want to go hit these goals. I got things because you're part of my goal, right? But when it comes to family functions, when it comes to, hey, listen, there's a comedy club, D.L. Hughley's coming to town or whoever, or there's an event. I'm always like, I can't go. I'm not attending because, my goals are so much important. I'm pressing on, but they don't understand that. So it's causing that thing between family. And you guys know what I'm talking about. As you're growing your business, as you're growing your network marketing business, it's hard to kind of stay focused, deal with what you have to deal with, know what you have to know, deal with the people, that many different personalities, and then come back and try to have a regular conversation, a regular relationship with people.
Yeah.
I don't know if that sounds right? With people, like all of them are people, but with those people, right? And so that's one of the things I'm working on currently is just really trying to be able to shut it off, right? And I'm trying. I'm getting better.
Yeah, and I think also sometimes you got to know who you are to the room. Like you got to read the room, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I love my sister and my brother. They're part of my company, so I love you guys. I know you're gonna listen to this. But they pick on me sometimes, right? Like my brother more so, he'll pick on me, right? Like we'll be talking like, all right, Oprah, relax, right? Like he because I'm being very positive and motivational and whatnot, right? Like, like, oh, here comes Dr. Phil, because I'm like looking for the solution all the time. So I learned because that could really spark some like trigger for me. Like, I'm like, what you mean? Like, you're mad at me that I'm doing my homework, that I'm the good one, that I'm doing better for myself, right? But sometimes you got to read the room. Like all he's saying is like, I just want my brother that I grew up with, that I picked on me to have fun, enjoy, have a beer or something, like, dude, chill. So sometimes you got to read the room, because I'll tell you, I'm guilty of it, where sometimes we don't know when to turn it off. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I would be hanging out with people and just somehow, some way, I'm like, so you refer 3 people, right? And they're all like, how do we get there? So we got to learn how to turn it off sometimes. Debbie, talk to us.
Yeah, I just love piggybacking after Tokoyo. I don't know if it's because we're close in age or what, brother, and we've been down this road for many years. But for sure, I struggle with that same thing. And just like Ali, and it's the same. I adore my family. I love my brother, but absolutely we don't speak the same language, right? My brother's 67 years old. I'm heading up towards the 60. He walked into my house 2 weeks ago and he still said to me, I don't know what the heck you do, right? He still doesn't know what the heck I do, and so it's interesting because what I personally have to be careful about is I always what Ali's describing, like, just be the brother, just be the sister, just hang out. Because what I also find, because I'm a psychologist by trade, is people just gravitate towards me to tell me their problems, right? And the reading of the room that I have to do is I have to recognize that they just really want to vent. They actually don't want me to help them, right? Because I want, most people that come to me for mentorship, they're asking me for help. And so therefore I'm prepared with some information. And I realized with my family, no, they don't want my answers. They don't want me to tell them. They just want to vent at me. And I just have to sit there and go, And you guys, that is hard. That is hard to do when you've been doing work for 30 years and you just want to say, just change that thought. Just change that thought, right? But when it comes from family, that's a tough road to go right there. Back to you, Ellie.
If anybody's wondering why I keep putting people on spotlight, it's
He's
because I'm
eating.
having dinner. All right. I need to have my dinner. I didn't eat, so I'm having my dinner. So it's as real gets right
Keep
here.
eating. We can
No,
talk.
but here's the end. Well, I'll tell you why I'm being non-negotiable. The day I made a decision to be meticulously non-negotiable about certain things, including my nutrition, I did good. The month and a half, January, halfway towards February, boy, I ruined it. I mean, I gained 30 pounds. If Tokoyo's got no chill. Like me and him, we have this like morning calls, and he's like, you look like you gained a little weight, man. Your face is a little round. You got a little cheeky. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, here comes the 72%, mental health, Tokoyo. I'm only dealing with a 1 and a 4-year-old by myself and company craze.
Well, that's another inroad, right, to mental health, because I just like you, Ali, I can work all day and all of a sudden realize I haven't eaten at all. And all of a sudden I got the hangries.
I have the opposite problem. I'm eating while I'm working. And so I'm like eating, and then I'll look over and I'm like, who ate the last of those chips? Well, I did, but I was not paying attention, right? You eat the whole bag. I have the opposite problem.
Well, I have both, you're right. But and it's crazy. And again, it's all about that balance, the balance for our lives. And it's the balance for our mental health. It really is. And when we are really the sole proprietor, right, of us, we're doing it all. And we in the beginning of starting a business, you can't delegate either, right? So you're wearing every single hat. And so what I have tried to do, and you guys know I've taught on that, is calendaring, right? Because if I have it on my calendar, I'm going to do it. And what see, girl, I literally have to block off. I'm so proud of myself after being nuts for 2.5 years again and working like crazy. I now take the weekends off. Holy cow. And sometimes I start the weekend on Friday by like 1:00. And that's, guys, here's the thing. 35 years I've been at that. But because I fell off of it and was working like a workaholic again, I had to remind myself. I had to focus on it again. I had to make it a priority, like Ali said. And I had to go, okay, Debbie, you can't. And you know what? At first, it is uncomfortable as heck when I do that again. All I'm thinking about is what I could be accomplishing, what I should be accomplishing, and therefore not being present with the people I'm with for 2.5 days.
Yeah, and that's all about setting boundaries, and that is so important. So when I was trying to juggle how to be a full-time entrepreneur and raise my kids, and how was I going to get everything done, I did have to just stop myself and block off time, and then not only set the boundaries, then you have to stick to them, right? You can set boundaries all day long, but then there comes that message in your thought, I don't want to lose this client, or I don't want to lose a sale, or I need to be creating this content, right? All these thoughts come in, and you have to stick to it and say, nope, it'll be there in the morning. Like, it's okay. And that's really crucial. And I've noticed a huge difference in my mental health now that I have set boundaries and I stick to them.
Right. And I think that, you have to have your own life. And that's where, for me, I've actually been giving my life to people for so long, trying to build these businesses and getting on the phone and being available at 10 o'clock at night. I've got the Hawaii team. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I need to wake up at 12 o'clock to do a 3-way call, or, stuff like that. And so, you kind of own the growth though. And for me, like, I'll just tell you a story. Last weekend, I was off from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, didn't know what to do. I took it off because I had some friends coming from out of town, and I just felt weird. Like, I didn't know what to do. and I wanted to go work so bad. Like, oh man, I'm sitting there like I'm anxious, like, what do I do with my hand over here? That type of thing. And so it was just fun, man. It was funny because at the end of the week, I was just like, you know what? I needed that.
Yep.
At the end of the week, the whole weekend, I'm like, I want to do something. Yeah. Sunday, I was like, I needed that.
For our beloved viewers, we would love to hear from you. Do us a favor, send us, any questions or comments or any experience that you've had, or if you want to be part of the conversation, we'd love to bring you on the show and have a couple of minute chat with us and give us a little bit of your perspective. Just text 732-455-2570. That is 732-455-2570. Text your number 97. No, I'm just kidding. But definitely send us that text. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have you part of our conversation, because mental health is pretty much like a stigma, right? People frown upon it, people ignore it, and a lot of people who are experiencing mental health, they have the denial factor. I can tell you, this guy right here, I mean, literally just earlier, just walking upstairs, and I'm having my AirPods in my ear, a Zoom in the phone. I'm hanging it on the side of the kitchen while I'm hooking up, dinner for the family and whatnot, because I promised baby boy that I was going to make him his favorites. And Sebastian is like, can I get up? Like, he gets his stepping stool, and like, oh, can I help you? And usually I say yes. And all I did is one of those, like, not right now. You do not dare. Right. So here I am, this cool dad with my son always, all of a sudden turn into, the manager. Like, go over there, I'm gonna write you up. You're not supposed to be in the front counter. What are you doing? So anyways, let's talk about, in your experiences, what would you identify as a real moment where you felt like, man, I gotta slow down. Like, this may be mental health. Like, I snap. And yes, Debbie and I have had our fair share over the years where, it would be like the birds and the sun is beautiful and thunderstorm. Yeah. But the good news is it always shines after, right? So how do you identify a symptom that may be nothing to the masses, or you may be ignoring it, but it really could be mental health? Anything you would want to share? Because we want to start driving into some of the solution as well and what we would recommend.
Yeah. We keep doing this at the same time, Tokoyo.
Only the two of you.
Just us two. And he's such a gentleman. It's always ladies first. So thank you so much. I'm glad we're going into kind of solutions for it. So before we go into solutions for it, a trigger that I notice, I guess you could say, for me, is I am just exhausted. I am so tired, and I become very detached and uninterested in my life. Like, I'm not interested in doing any business work, which is really rare because I love creating and talking to others. And so that's a big sign. I don't want to play with my kids. I don't want to cook. Like, I just don't want to do anything. Like, literally, I just want to go in my bed and like sleep, and that's how I get when I get too overwhelmed and I get burnout. Just nothing interests me anymore. And when I notice that, I'm like, oh, like I need to take a step back. And so after we all share our little triggers, I'm excited to get into what's helped me overcome that.
Right on. All right, Tokoyo, it is your turn.
I'm going to go ahead and yield to Debbie because I've lost my train of thought.
Love it.
Well, tired is definitely one for me. But as Ali said, getting a little bit cranky is a big one for me. And the funny thing is, or not so funny, is I have an extremely long fuse. It takes a lot for me to get really angry. The bad part about that is this: when that fuse is lit, it's 0 to 60, boom, and it's explosion, right? Now, for me, I don't like that experience. And then I don't like what happens afterwards, because even though sometimes my message might be accurate, the way I'm expressing it is so inappropriate because I have allowed that to explode. So I will, and I've done that with Ali. I've apologized to him for the way I delivered a message, not for the message, but how I delivered it, right? So because I really take care and consideration in how I speak to people, I really, really try to pay attention. So when I start to notice that I'm not, and that I'm now reacting or speaking to people in a way that I normally won't, I go, whoa, you are like, it's not good. You've got to settle down. You got to calm down. You've got to, you've got to meditate. You got to breathe. And because what coincides with that is irritation with people that I'm not normally irritated with. right? I start to find myself, my husband's got a lot of health issues, right? And I'm not irritated with that. And when I all of a sudden recognize in my brain that I'm irritated with that, that's a trigger. I got to back off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's weird that we're having this conversation because like earlier today, I did a live about getting an oil change. Isn't that crazy? Like this was not even a conversation. Like Ali literally just sent out a message saying, "Hey guys, we're talking about this." And I'm like, man, I was just talking about this morning. It's so crazy how we're attuned. Me and Ali, like, But
well, it's even crazier, Tokoyo, because I'm just going to tell you this. In my prep for 8 o'clock, I actually used the word oil change before I saw your live.
Ali, what you got, Ali D?
I ain't got nothing on that today.
Oh, okay.
I need to get in sync with y'all.
But it's just so crazy because triggers, like I know certain people trigger me. Like I'm the nicest guy. I can, I'm brushing stuff off left and right, but it's just certain people. And it's that stuff where it's built up and that person or persons for me sets it off, right? So it's just really just knowing for me, what I've learned to do is just be quiet. Like literally, like when I know I'm at that verge, because I know I have my mouth, I would say some stuff. I don't curse or anything like that, but I would dig into your chest. And I know that's not the way to be to like friends and family. So I literally have to get to a point to where I agree to disagree, right? I let them have it. You know what I'm saying? Just, yeah, you get that. I'm not going to get in this with you. I'm not going to join this fight with you, right? And so those are some of the things we have to do is learn to pick our battles. And so for me, like I said, it's just triggers with certain people. But for the most part, I'm good with everybody, no matter what's going on in my life. But it's certain people who get me. And when they get me, like Ali says, right? It's on.
What's that quote? I possess specific skills. I will find you, and I will get.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what we call practicing the pause, right? You practice the pause, and I have to initiate that a lot.
So I looked at a few things, right? So first of all, the definition of mental health, because a lot of people, when we think mental health, we think like we're either saying you're crazy or you're good, right? But mental health has so many definitions depending on society, depending on your upcoming, depending on many things. I can tell you, I grew up in Morocco, right, until I was 16 years old, and there you don't talk about mental health over there. You get slapped around and they're like, get your butt over there and go get some sleep, right? Like, what do you mean, you're feeling anxiety? But the definition of mental health is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities. So first things first, you have to have the ability to realize your own abilities, right? Or lack thereof. Can cope with the normal stresses of life. So if you don't even know how to identify stress, you're probably already in the struggle, correct? Can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her own community, according to the World Health Organization. So just something as little as you isolating yourself and not wanting to be part of community, not wanting to, clean or just do something with the community, that is a little bit of a sign that, dude, you got to take a look at your health, your mental health, right? And I believe that there are multiple ways that we all can deal with mental health. And I don't think there are any absolutes or limitations. I think psychedelics can help with mental health, 100%. I think good nutrition and healthy workout. I think enough sleep. I think naps. Man, when I get my nap, I wake up like a superhero, and you can tell if I did not get a nap. So I'm curious to hear from your experiences, since each one of you has dealt with some type of mental health, whether it's anxiety, depression, stress, whatever it may be. share with us and with the viewers or with the listeners, exactly what do you feel can be a part of a solution where you can create a winning formula for mental health? Ladies first.
Okay, I'll jump in there. Okay, so like Ollie said, I mean, the typical things: exercise, sleep well, eat well, meditate, journal, like all of those things that we pretty much know are good for mental health. But for me, it's simple things. It's simple things of like taking a nice shower. Remember, I'm a mom of 4 young kids, so like showers are like mini vacations for me, guys. So doing something like that, or sometimes just like washing my face, like little things, right? Cooking. I've learned that I actually enjoy baking, and it's very relaxing for me. Sometimes it's logging off the internet for a couple days, or just the evening, or like I said, having those boundaries. But for me, it's simple things. But what I found is it's doing these simple things consistently, not waiting until I'm already so stressed out. Like taking a nice shower, yeah, it can calm you down. But if you're already so stressed out, that one shower is not going to like do you very much good, right? It'll do you good for the next 20 minutes, but you're still stressed out. So in my planner that I had next to me when we were talking about it, I have a section that has daily habits. And literally I have doing my devotion, eating healthy food, exercise, and self-care. And self-care for me can be a range of different things, but I have that on there so that I can check off the boxes, so that at the end of the week, if I'm feeling stressed, I can look back and I can see where I was lacking, and know why maybe I'm extra stressed out, right? And because I'll be honest, there's very few weeks where I actually get like everything checked off, right? So it helps me reevaluate how I can better the next week. But that's really important to identify what works for you, even if it's as simple as just taking a shower or cooking, doing something that's relaxing, but keep it consistent, whether it's every day or every couple days. You need a consistent pattern of it.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Allie. And same here. I have to have that marked out. I'm going to share something with you guys. When I was 18 years old, I grew up in Massachusetts on a farm. I still have a farm up there. But I was diagnosed with seasonal affective disorder at 18 years old, which basically is when there's lack of sun and, lack of light. And because in Massachusetts in the winter, it starts to get dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then half of the day is dark and dreary and there's no green. And literally, I would get so depressed. So at 18 years old, they actually put me on some medication. And some of their other suggestions were, to be honest, it was like to use a light, like the tanning bed, not like a tanning bed, but something you could put like near you, or to do that. Or I took it one step further. I moved to Florida. Okay. I took it one step forward. And the thing is, I bet most of you guys, if you really, really knew me, and I just got here, I was stuck in Massachusetts longer than normal. My mood, it was really tanking. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. Now, we don't all have that luxury to be able to do that, right? But what I'm saying is that particular condition, if you can't do the physical things, then medication is required. And it was only required seasonally. Once the sun came back up, I didn't need it again, right? But along with that is absolute consistency. Every single morning for almost 2.5, 3 years, I've gotten up and done the same thing in the morning. Even when I was crazy and doing the workaholic thing, I have my quiet time. I do prayers with some other folks, and then I go to the gym, because I won't go to the gym if I wait till the end of the day. It won't happen. So I have to go in the morning, and that will maintain me for a good amount of the day. But I have to recognize in myself if there's some other crankiness coming out of me. And again, we all have to find that spot, right? Sometimes the spot's just in your head mentally, and you can go into the other room and you can close your eyes and you can visualize
The toilet.
The shower. In the shower. For me, I grew up on a farm. I am soothed by having my hands in the earth. So I am outside, and that is where you will find me when I know that my stress is starting to amp up. I get my hands in the dirt, and it doesn't matter if you live in a city, right? Plant a plant, right? Take care of a flower. I don't know what it is, guys. It brings you down. It slows you down, at least for me. And so wherever your spot is, if it's the toilet, if it's the shower, if it's outside, if it's the beach, if it's your living room, find that spot that you can go away, even if it's not physically.
Tokoyo.
All right, good stuff. So again, just the video that we did earlier, we spoke on this. It's like finding your happy place. Like for me, just personally, I don't know what it is for you, but personally for me, I have a few things that again, just gets me right. So if I have this stuff going on, and as I said earlier, most people never know when I'm going through something. It's just years and years and years of personal development, just learning how to like look at things like, you know what, if it doesn't kill me, I'm okay. Like my arm is, it's hurt, but it's not hanging off, it's not ripped off, so I'm good. So it's like you look at things and you're able to kind of just, let me tell you the story. It's so crazy how just being in this industry, it's like I could be in the middle of an argument, right? In the middle of heated argument. And as I'm in the heated argument, because of personal development, because of being around the right people and the people who speak life into you, I am sitting there actually, the person's doing what they're doing. In my mind saying, what are you doing? This isn't that serious. Why are you mad? Like literally, that's how my mind thinks nowadays, just because of everything we've been around and all the associations. But find your happy place. And for me, there's a couple things. For me, I love our country. I'm an American guy. I love the USA, and I love our flag, right? So there's a place close to my house, and you got this, it's a huge parking lot, and this flag they have there is like humongous. I'm not talking about, the one you see hanging in front of someone's house. This deal, it looks like, it's like the one that you would see maybe at the White House or something like that. It's just so huge. And whenever I go there, obviously there's a breeze going on. You see that flag, and it's doing this little thing like this, and I get to going with that flag, and it's just easing me and getting me to calm down and getting me to think about the situation. And then I come out with a better solution so that when I leave that parking lot, I'm on point. My second thing is, and I don't know how your kids are, right? I'm just talking and speaking on my kids. When I get around my kids, I have conversations with them. See, they're not tainted like we are. They don't have the bills. They don't have the girlfriend, boyfriend situations, the wife, husband situations, all the work situations. So when I get around them, it's playful, it's smiles, it's good times. I watch like when my kids aren't around, I love having conversations with Ali. You know why? Because his kids are always around. When I get on with him in the morning, I see Sebastian running around, right? And I see his little girl running around. And I'm just like, man, he don't even realize he's actually curing me for that day. He's giving me medicine for that day.
If you ever need to see kids, just FaceTime me. I got a ton of them for you.
Well, depending on how your kids are. No, but the whole thing is that's for me. So that's one thing. Second thing is you got to have someone you can talk to. You have to.
Yep.
It's one thing to go to that happy space or happy spot, right? But if you can't relate, because sometimes it's just not going to a happy place. Sometimes you need to, as she said, as Deb said earlier, there I go again, I'm sorry. Debbie said earlier, you have to voice it out. You have to speak it out. You just can't hold it out. Hold it in. And so again, you have to have that person. I saw him just pop up on the screen. That was my man, Jose Carlton. I can call him and I entrust him with everything I tell him, right? I can tell him everything. Right? Because some people have people that think they can talk to, but you can't tell them everything. You don't feel comfortable telling them the exact situation. You may give them bits and pieces, but some holes in there. You got to have that person where you can tell nothing but the truth and nothing but the truth.
Amen.
The truth shall set you free.
Sir. Or ma'am.
Ali D said, the truth shall set you free or lock your ass up. Just saying. All right, so it's interesting. By the way, I love this conversation. I appreciate you all being open about your own personal experiences. For me, I think the first thing that is holding many people from dealing with mental health is, again, the stigma, right? The thought that people, I think I'm crazy, right? Like I had people that are like, oh my god, my anxiety is kicking in, please don't tell anybody. I'm like, dude, who cares? Everybody's has anxiety. Or like, oh, I deal with ADHD, I can't focus. I'm like, welcome to being a human being. That's like all of us, like literally, right? Like, oh, I got OCD, I need everything to be perfect. Welcome to my family. I mean, like, why wouldn't you want everything to be perfect? Like, why are you putting yourself, we were in Bahamas, and there was a post that my wife shared with me, because my wife is always told by everybody in the family, like, oh, here goes her OCD, because she wants everything meticulously perfect, well put out, organized, like in every single way. So the post said, they call it OCD. I call it put that ish where you found it, right? Like, it's simple as that, which is true. It really is, right? Like, what makes you think that you're the one who's sick? Like, everybody who's not organized around you maybe are the sick ones, that they're not mad that they're not organized, right? But I also think that we put too much pressure on ourselves, comparing ourselves, or thinking that I'm supposed to be happy all the time, and I'm supposed to be perfect all the time, and I'm supposed to be successful all the time. We tend to forget that in life, you're supposed to fall and scrape your knee and heal, and it's a scar that you tell everybody about in a fun story. I mean, like, I think we all, many of us have those scarred knees, right? And I hope that, as people, whomever is listening to this, is that you just empathize with somebody that's going through something, because, in all fairness to that person who's angry, stressed, frustrated, who's flipping the bird in the middle of the traffic, craziness, you really don't know what that person is dealing with. And I remember Darren Hardy was, this is like back in my ACN days, 2009. And Darren Hardy is on stage, and he's giving an example, and he's showcasing. There was a father who's sitting on a bench, and he has like three kids that are like running everywhere and crazy and acting up, and they're throwing stuff at people, and all the father's doing is this, just looking down and not doing anything. And he asked, is like, what would you do if that was you walking and the kids are screaming and throwing stuff at you and bothering everybody in the picnic? And everybody's natural reaction was like, I'll go tell the father, like, excuse me, sir, can you contain your children? And then he said immediately after, his wife just died. He just buried her that morning. And immediately everybody's mindset was like, oh my God. It was like, so what happened? See, the first one, you looked at it from your own perspective. I'm like, this annoying person is frustrating and bothering my day. Immediately when you realized he actually just lost his wife and he just buried her, and now he's a single dad with these kids, not knowing what to do, and God knows where his mind is, you immediately empathize. So let's just play it safe as people and start assuming that that person is going through something, and use your imagination, whatever that something may be, for you to create a sense of empathy, because it is a missing emotion in our society today. Many times, again, about a couple of blocks down from our house, there's a funeral home, right? And one of the things that a lot of people that I see, I live by the beach, they especially in summertime, they get frustrated if there's a funeral car, right? The limo, and then they got to stop where everybody's got to go and drive. And you see people like, I mean, that they're going to bury their loved one. And like, you literally see people doing this. Like, they're getting mad at the line of cars that are driving to bury their loved one. And I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, what if that was your family member? What if that was you in that casket? Like, would you want to be like treated like that? And so I think, instead of us putting pressure on that one person, say, deal with your mental health, deal with your anxiety, go drink something or smoke something or read a book. Like, I get it. Like, I think we, the people around that person, just need to empathize and love on that person a little bit, because I cannot tell you many times over, I've had people, and Debbie, you've been in group messages with me and you've seen it all, right? And I've had people that literally would throw rocks at me, right? Like, repeatedly, for whatever reason or another. And I'm always like, hey, I totally get how you feel. And, I hope you find it within your heart to just heal from it and move on. And I'm sorry if I hurt you in any way. Like and I'll get a text sometimes from Billy and like, no, you're not taking a bullet for that one. I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay. I understand that person needs someone to blame and be angry about. I'm just grateful that I happen to be the one that gave them a little bit of relief. And I'm okay, because guess what? It was a stupid text. Like I closed the phone and I ate pistachios and moved on with my day, right? So empathize for those who are around you, and watch how it naturally becomes better. But let's go around the world. I'd love to hear from you guys and gals. One last point for that listener that just needs to hear from you that it's okay to not be okay. Ali D.
Yeah, I wanted to add kind of from the other side as someone who struggles with mental health, that to know that it is okay if you are struggling, and maybe these things we listed off that work for us, you need more than that. And it's okay to have to maybe be on medication. That's not the first route that I personally recommend, right? I think you should try other things, but it's that stigma, right? And I struggled with this. Ali can tell you, I started developing panic attacks. Like, I've always had anxiety, on and off depression, ADD. Like, I've dealt with those things almost my whole life, but I started getting panic attacks 2 years ago, to where I couldn't drive. I wasn't able to care for my family. And long story short, after ruling out every other health issue, I finally was like, okay, I'll go on an anti-anxiety med. And it really was hard for me at first, because I was like, why am I not like everyone else? Which I don't know everyone else's situation, but that's how I felt. And I want you to know, if you are someone that struggles with anxiety, depression, mental health, that it is okay if you need that little bit of extra help. You are no less of a person. You are not broken. You just need a little extra boost, and that is perfectly okay. Don't let that beat you down.
Wow. I don't know if anybody want to follow that, but I'm just gonna sit this one out.
That's awesome stuff. And I'll take it one step further. As a psychologist, I have seen so many people that have the same feeling about going to a counselor or going to a psychiatrist. Well, then everybody's going to think I'm crazy. No, and you're not crazy. And listen, as psychologists and psychiatrists, one of the things that we're required to do to get licensed is to go to a therapist. Right? You're required to do that so that you can see both sides of the coin, so to speak. But absolutely, I would believe, my experiences would tell me that far more people than not struggle with some sort of mental health issue. So don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. Seek out whatever help you need, whether the easy, simpler things work. And if they don't, then you try the next step. But don't give up on you and think that you are some sort of a failure because you have stress or anxiety, whatever it is. Just keep fighting for you and your solution. I promise you, it's out there.
All right, so good stuff. Let me go ahead and do this real quick, because I don't want to take up a lot of time, because I know we're time sensitive. So I don't have anything else to add for that. But I do have to promote the next event. The next event is a young lady who I'm very, very excited to have known for the last 2.5 years. She's an amazing mother. She's an amazing wife, just an amazing person. And of course, you just heard from her, Debbie Saunders. And so tonight, if you're a part of this community, you want to be on at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time, because she's going to give you nothing but the truth. And she will set you free. So again, guys, I look forward to see you guys at the top, from the top, over the top. Take care, take charge, and we'll see you in the Ali.
Kuna Matata. How do you follow that? I'll tell you this. My man said it. If you're not part of our community, you need to be part of our community. Go. It's right below. Tokoyo, you're in the bottom. Could you point down like this? And Debbie, could you point down like this? Yeah, right there. You see it? I am that media all the way in the bottom. It's like in the bottom window. I got to talk to the bottom neighbors. Go to iam.media and click on ME Academy, and you can enroll. Join us today. It is $1.50 a day. You can join us today, and you can be part of Debbie Salmon's as your strategic partners training today. And we are going to start a journey together. And we have modules, trainings, and anything you could imagine for you as an entrepreneur in an entrepreneurial community. And we're talking about $27, $37, or $47, for you to have the tools that you need, and a whole lot of freebies. I mean, a lot of freebies. So try us out. Come out tonight. Once you enroll, you're going to have access. You're going to get the invite. And for those of you who are part of our community, I know for a fact that you already opened your emails, because I saw the emails that you've opened with the link and everything else. So I appreciate you. I love you. And know that it's okay to not be okay, right? People try to take control. What's that thing? Relax. Nothing is under control. That's really all there is. Just relax. Nothing is under control. I know you want me to say everything is under control. Nothing is under control. Just trust the process. We love you and appreciate you. We are your strategic partners, and this has been episode 2. We'll see you soon. Have a blessed day, everybody.